A very good afternoon to you and many thanks for joining us on Citizen at 1. I am Kirigo Ngarwam. The High Court has this morning dismissed an application filed by City businessman Brian Yongo to have him enjoined in a case filed by the Judicial Service Commission to block the removal of 6 of its commissioners. High Court Judge Justice George Odunga says Yongo did not provide sufficient ground to grant his application. The court has further ordered that the 6 JSC commissioners remain in office pending the hearing and determination of the petition pending in court.
Brian Yongo, the Nairobi businessman who lodged damning allegations against one of the 6 JSC commissioners before a parliamentary committee, sought to have his day in court and be enjoined in the JSC case that seeks to block the removal of 6 of its commissioners. But a High Court Judge, Justice George Odunga, this morning dismissed this petition on the basis of insufficient grounds. The High Court had earlier ordered the Legal Affairs Committee of the National Assembly to temporarily stop the tabling of a report on the conduct of 6 JSC commissioners who are currently under probe. Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi, Samuel Kobia, Professor Christine Mango, Mohamed Warsame, Emily Ominde and Florence Mwangangi. The Commission reacted by filing a suit against the National Assembly, the Speaker and the Attorney General, arguing that the National Assembly is interfering with the Commission's administrative function and that the Legal Affairs Committee was inferior and could therefore not summon the JSC commissioners. Justice Odunga has further directed that the 6 commissioners are to remain in office until the petition in court is heard and determined. Jackie Maribe, Citizen at 1.
The Umoinner Sacco bus company has moved to court to demand the release of its fleet of buses that were grounded at the traffic police headquarters after failing to comply with the government's order requiring individual owners operating under the Sacco to present their mini buses for inspection. Out of the 100 buses they own as a Sacco, only 46 had been available for the inspection. Umoinner Sacco, through its lawyer Kennedy Arum, told the court that not all the mini buses were defective and it would be only fair if the vehicles were released. Justice George Odunga pushed the date of the hearing to Friday, where he will make a ruling on the case. Now, this comes a week after one of the minibuses in the fleet was involved in an accident at Mtindwa in Nairobi after a train rammed into it, killing 12 people. The government suspended Umoinner's operational license and directed its bus drivers to undergo a thorough tests to check their competence. Now, the fate of Lands Cabinet Secretary Charity Ngilu will be decided this afternoon when the National Assembly debates a joint committee's report which implicates her for unprocedurally effecting appointments and transfers of staff in the Ministry of Lands. MPs will determine whether to censure Ngilu through a proposed amendment by Ugunja Member of Parliament Opio Wandai, which seeks to hold Ngilu responsible for her actions. Our reporter Kendegoro Badia now joins us on phone from the National Assembly with the very latest on that developing story. A very good afternoon to you, Kendego. We can start by what do we expect this afternoon, seeing as the debate that was going on yesterday was postponed, and also remembering that the commission that was set up to investigate this report did not come out with a clear recommendation or report as to what needs to be done to Charity Ngilu.
Good afternoon to you, Kirigo. Well, it is true that the debate on the report of 2 committees which were investigating the conduct of the Lands Cabinet Secretary Charity Ngilu would be resuming today. It was adjourned yesterday following the time constraints. The debate ended around 6 when the time when Parliament usually adjourns its sitting. And it is expected to come up this afternoon. Of course, members of Parliament will be contributing and debating on the conduct of Charity Ngilu. The report of the 2 joint committees, these are the Lands Committee and the Delegated Legislation Committee, which investigated the conduct of Charity Ngilu on the appointment of one Peter Kangeze Kahuho, who was appointed into a position that was created irregularly, and this position is the Director General of Land. Remember, this was a position that was formerly held by the Commission of Land, an office that was abolished with the coming in of the new constitution. And the report of the committee found that Charity Ngilu did not follow the law in creating that office and also appointing Kangere Kavuo to head and be able to sign title deeds. And so with that, members of parliament will now be debating on whether to have Ngilu continue to serve as the cabinet secretary. But reports of the two committees did not recommend any action against Charity Ngilu.
All right. I do apologize for that. It looks like we've lost Kenda Gorobadia, but you're speaking to us from the National Assembly, where the fate of Lands Cabinet Secretary Charity Ngilu will be decided this afternoon when the National Assembly debates a joint committee's report. All right, we'll give you updates on that in our subsequent bulletins. But let's move on. An ICC prosecutor Fatu Bensouda has opposed an application by President Uhuru Kenyatta to have his charges at the Hague-based court dropped. Bensouda, in her formal response to Kenyatta's application, termed it premature, insisting any concerns that she has can be raised before the trial chamber as the case progresses. Francis Gashuri gives us more details.
The president had, through his lawyers Stephen K. and Julian Higgins, applied that his trial be terminated, claiming it was an abuse of the court process. Kenyatta has faulted the prosecution and doubted its evidence to press charges against him in relation to the 2007-2008 post-election skirmishes.
I, Fatu Bensouda, solemnly undertake that I will perform my duties and exercise my powers as prosecutor of the International Criminal Court honorably, faithfully, impartially, and conscientiously.
But in her response to the trial chamber handling Kenyatta's case, presided by Judge Kuniko Ozaki, Bensouda said it would be inappropriate to terminate the trial before it even begins, based on one-sided and heavily disputed factual accounts that are classically matters for the trial itself. Bensouda told the chamber that it was impossible, based on the issues raised by the president's lawyers, to conclude that a fair trial was impossible or the integrity of the proceedings would be undermined to warrant the termination of the cases. Bensouda, in her application, claimed that Kenyatta in late 2012 had, through intermediaries, tried to influence prosecution witnesses P0011 and P0012 to recant their evidence. The trial chamber is expected to make a ruling on whether to proceed with the trial against the president or not. Kenyatta's trial, that was scheduled to kick off next week, has now been pushed to the 5th of February next year. Francis Gashuri, Citizen at 1.
Now, property estimated to be worth millions of shillings was destroyed last evening after a fierce fire broke out in a warehouse belonging to Fairdeal Company Limited in Kisa in Mombasa. The fire, which started at around 5 p.m., took firefighters from the Mombasa County government over 7 hours to contain it. The fire escalated as the furniture inside fueled the fire. Witnesses say that the fire could have been put out earlier, but fire brigade engines ran out of water at one point. Kisauni OCPD Julius Wanjohi confirmed that there were no casualties following the incident.
The cause of the fire is not known, but it has gone to an extent of causing much damage. As you can see, it has destroyed part of the building, and I believe part of the equipment that were inside. We have not been able to know what could have caused the fire, but we are investigating.
Still in Mombasa, a regular police officer was last night gunned down by known assailants at Bakarani Slum in Kisauni, just a few kilometers from where a Redeemed Gospel pastor was shot dead in a church last month.
David Gitonga, who was an officer attached to the provincial police headquarters Mombasa, was shot at close range by the alleged two assailants who disappeared thereafter using a motorbike. Speaking at the scene, Kisauni District Criminal Investigation Officer Joseph Kioko confirmed that the deceased was shot on the head and on the back by the attackers before they escaped. The CID head affirmed that the incident was not being treated as a robbery, as nothing was stolen from the officer.
On arrival at the scene, we found that he had two bullet wounds, one on the head and another one on the back. So we have not known the motive of the killing, but we have initiated investigations.
However, a section of local political and religious leaders have expressed their concern over the rising cases of insecurity in Kisauni, urging the government to take action on the matter.
Tungeomba serikali iangalie vizuri usalama, kwa sababu inaonekana Kisauni usalama umezorota.
The body of the deceased was later taken to the Coast General Hospital mortuary. Elsewhere, 6 suspected robbers were killed in 3 separate incidents in Nairobi. Brenda Ching, Citizen at 1.
4 people, among them a manager from Mageo Coffee Factory in Kisa County, were today rescued from irate villagers who wanted to lynch them for allegedly attempting to steal coffee from the factory. The suspects were allegedly found loading 34 bags of coffee from the factory into a truck in the wee hours of the morning by local security officers who raised the alarm. A swift response by the police said saved the suspects from the angry villagers.
Tumepata magunia 30 ya cherry ambayo ilikuwa imefichwa kando na magunia zingine 4 za mbuni, yote inakuwa 34. Kwa hiyo ni wizi ambao ulitendeka usiku wa kuamkia leo.
Kila bahali tumecaution our officers wawe wana patrol within these coffee factories and tea factories, na in case kumetokea jambo kama watchmen wakiitana tunawasaidia.
The girl who emerged as the top female candidate in the KCPE examination in the year 2011 in Tetu, Nyeri County has dropped out of school due to lack of school fees. Winfred Wamboi Nderoe, who is in Form 2, only attended class this term for 2 weeks at Kenya High School, where she was admitted last year before she was sent away for lack of school fees. This is after a local politician and businessman who was sponsoring her reportedly stopped paying for her education. Here's a story.
It is the plight of a bright student whose dreams have been shattered due to financial constraints. Winfred Wamboi Nderoe saw her stars shine when she emerged top in the 2011 KCPE in Tetu, Nyeri County. She was assured of a brighter future when she got admitted to the Kenya High School until recently when she dropped out due to lack of school fees. The 14-year-old student is now at home and is said to be downcast following her dropping out of school. Her dream to become an entrepreneur has since been shattered. Wamboi, who is the last born in a family of 5, comes from a very poor family, and her parents are casual laborers at Ndugamano village who cannot afford to pay her school fees. This is after her sponsor, the former Tetu MP FT Nyamo, withdrew the support after losing the seat in the last general elections.
If there is anyone who can help me, I'm requesting and I'm begging if you could please help me or sponsor me to continue with my education.
Her father, Charles Nderoe, says he has visited every office, including that of Children's Department, but no help is forthcoming. The only hope he got was from the local CDF office, which is planning to give her 20,000 shillings, but this is too little since he needs about 100,000 shillings to settle the accumulated fee balance at the national school she's currently enrolled. Cesarin Wangare, Citizen at 1.
Well, time to catch a breather now. I'll be back with the Forex report as well as sports news. Don't go too far.